There is a saying in the Shaolin tradition, the mouth can speak truth, but also poison. Words are not just sounds, they carry energy, they shape perception, and they can pierce deeper than any blade. Every day we walk among people, friends, family, colleagues, strangers, and in their words they reveal something, not just about us, but about themselves. Some words uplift, others confine, some are spoken with love. Others are born from fear, insecurity, or control. If you are committed to walking a path of self-mastery, clarity, and inner peace, then you must develop the strength, not just to fight, but to walk away, to choose silence over chaos, distance over disrespect, dignity over drama. There are moments in life when what is being said to you is not about growth, not about correction, not even about love, it's about manipulation, jealousy, or projection. These moments are tests, and how you respond to them defines your spiritual maturity. So today, I want to share with you something very important. 5 types of words, 5 sentences, that you must learn to recognize. Not with anger, not with judgment, but with wisdom, because the strongest warrior is not the one who wins every battle. The strongest warrior is the one who knows when it's time to walk away. When someone tells you you're too sensitive, they are not pointing out a flaw in you. They are revealing their discomfort with vulnerability. In many cultures, strength is defined by hardness, by stoicism, by the suppression of emotion. But in the ancient traditions, the truth is quite the opposite. Water is soft, yet it wears down mountains. Wind is invisible, yet it moves the trees. Sensitivity is not weakness, it is awareness. It is the ability to feel the unspoken, to notice the shift in tone, to pick up on energies that others overlook. And so, when someone uses your sensitivity against you, they are not seeing you clearly. They are reacting to their own inability to connect on a deeper level. To be sensitive is to live fully awake. You hear not just what is said, but also what is meant. You feel tension in the silence between words. You notice the slight hesitation before someone responds. These are not burdens, these are gifts. But when you live in a world that has taught people to hide, to wear masks, to distract themselves from the discomfort of their own emotions, then your sensitivity becomes inconvenient, not for you, but for them. Because you reflect back to them what they are not yet ready to face within themselves. Imagine walking through a forest. The wind rustles the leaves, the birds fly from branch to branch, the air is rich with life. Now imagine walking through that forest with headphones on, music playing loudly. You might still see the trees, but you will miss the subtleties, the deeper music. Sensitivity is like taking off those headphones, feeling life in its full texture, and yes, sometimes that means feeling pain more deeply, but it also means feeling joy more fully, connection more honestly, truth more clearly. So when someone says you're too sensitive, what they might be saying is, I can't handle the truth you see, or your depth unsettles me. In that moment, it is not your job to shrink. It is not your task to dull your senses to make others more comfortable. That would be like a lion lowering its roar to please the sheep, or a sunrise dimming itself so it doesn't disturb the night. Your sensitivity is part of your power. It is not the enemy. It is the compass that guides you away from environments where truth is unwelcome, and toward places where you are seen, not just heard. Words are often used like swords, sharp and careless, but the most dangerous ones are those cloaked in politeness. You're too sensitive is not always said with aggression. Sometimes it comes with a smile, with a laugh, with a casual shrug, but the impact remains, because behind those words is a subtle message. Do not feel, do not express, do not reflect. Just accept what is being said, even if it hurts you, even if it violates your sense of peace, even if it dims your spirit. But you were not born to be numb. You were not created to walk through this world as a shadow of yourself. You were born to feel deeply, to live with presence, to respond to life with your whole being. Sensitivity is not a curse to be cured. It is a sign that your soul has not been hardened by the noise of the world, that you still hear the quiet call of truth, that you are in tune with life itself. In many paths of mastery, the The student is taught not only to strengthen the body, but also to soften the mind, not to block out pain, but to observe it, not to suppress emotion, but to allow it to rise and fall like the breath. This is sensitivity, this is awareness, and without it there is no growth, no depth, no real connection. If someone cannot honor your sensitivity, it means they have not yet learned to honor their own. That is not your fault, that is their journey, but it is not your responsibility to walk beside someone who punishes you for your clarity, who blames you for seeing too clearly, feeling too deeply. Sensitivity is a mirror. It shows you who you are, and it also shows others who they are. And not everyone is ready to see themselves. You do not need to apologize for the way you were designed. You do not need to dilute your energy so others can feel safe in their disconnection. The path of awareness is not always easy, but it is always honest, and honesty is the foundation of all true strength. When someone tells you that you are too sensitive, listen not to their words, but to their fear. Then ask yourself, do I want to stay in a space where fear dictates the truth? Or do I want to walk towards something more aligned with who I truly am? When someone says to you, you'll never make it, they are not describing your potential. They are revealing the limits of their own belief system. These words do not arise from vision. They arise from fear, from insecurity, from a narrow view of what is possible. Often, people who have settled for less in their own lives feel uncomfortable when they see someone reaching for more. Your ambition becomes a mirror, and in that reflection, they are forced to confront the dreams they abandoned, the chances they didn't take, the mountains they were too afraid to climb. So instead of cheering for your courage, they try to pull you back down to the ground, because your rise reminds them of their fall. There's a story in every culture of the crab in the bucket. One tries to climb out, and the others pull it back down. Not because it doesn't deserve freedom, but because its movement threatens the comfort of the rest. When someone tells you you'll never make it, they are playing the role of the crab. Their words are the claws. They don't speak from insight into your journey. They speak from the safety of their own cage. They haven't seen what you've seen, haven't felt the fire you carry in your heart. They measure your future by the scale of their past, and forget that you are not walking their path, you are carving your own. Many people are afraid of what they do not understand. And boldness, resilience, persistence, these are unfamiliar languages to someone who has always chosen comfort over growth. To make it in any field, in any dream, requires a level of obsession. It requires solitude, repetition, sacrifice. Most people never even begin the path because they are unwilling to lose the things they cling to: approval, comfort, short-term pleasure. So when you come along and dare to want something bigger, they don't know how to process that. Instead of opening their minds, they shut down, and their defense is doubt. Their weapon is discouragement. But you must remember, no one sees your vision like you do. No one hears the whispers in your soul at midnight. No one has felt the weight of your failures, the taste of your tears, the invisible victories you celebrate alone. You are not building your future from their blueprint. You are building it from your own scars, your own hunger, your own calling. And when a person says you'll never make it, it often has nothing to do with whether you can or can't. It's about whether they believe anyone ever truly makes it at all. Sometimes these words come from strangers, and they bounce off easily. But the hardest ones are the ones spoken by people you care about: family, friends, mentors, people you expect to believe in you, and when they say it, it cuts deeper. But even then, you must remember, people speak from their level of understanding. From their wounds, from their fears. Their doubt is not your destiny. Their disbelief is not your identity. It is a projection, not a prophecy. In silence, in stillness, you know your truth. You know what pulls you forward. You've had moments of clarity, those sudden flashes where you feel aligned, on fire, unstoppable. And in those moments, the opinions of others disappear. That's who you really are. That's the version of you that exists beneath the noise. You were not created to meet the expectations of those who have forgotten how to dream. You were created to grow beyond limits, to push against resistance, to rise in spite of it. All the road to making it, whatever that means to you, is rarely easy. It's paved with rejection, mistakes, setbacks, silence, but it is also paved with discipline, growth, transformation, inner strength. The key is not to prove others wrong. The key is to prove yourself right. To stay so deeply connected to your purpose that no voice of doubt, no echo of fear, no external disbelief can reach the core of your determination. When someone says you'll never make it, what they're really saying is, I don't believe it's possible, because I never did it. That's not your story. That's theirs. You do not need loud approval to make quiet progress. You don't need validation from the outside to know the value within. What you need is clarity, discipline, patience, and the wisdom to know that other people's certainty about your failure is only as powerful as your willingness to believe it. You are the one walking this path. You are the one putting in the hours. You are the one who sees the horizon where others only see fog. So when the voices come, and they will, speaking of limitation, impossibility, and failure, hear them for what they are. Echoes of a world that chose to stay small, not a map for the world you are building. Keep walking, keep building, keep believing, even when no one else does. When someone says you're not good enough, it strikes at something deeper than just skill or performance. It aims at your very sense of worth. These words, whether spoken loudly or whispered subtly, have the power to create cracks in your confidence if you are not anchored in who you are. But these words, too, say more about the speaker than the one they're directed at. They often come from a place of projection, from someone who has learned to measure human value by external standards, achievements, or illusions of perfection. In truth, being enough is not a title that anyone else can bestow or take away. It is not earned by pleasing others. It is not defined by applause or approval. It is something you decide for yourself, from within, not from the shifting winds of opinion outside of you. To be told you are not enough is often a reflection of someone else's fear. Maybe your growth is threatening to them. Maybe your light exposes their darkness. Maybe your presence makes them feel small in comparison, not because you intend it, but because they have not yet found peace with who they are. And in their discomfort, they lash out, hoping to shrink you so they can feel bigger. But you must not take their words as truth. You must learn to hear them as noise, not guidance, as fog, not a mirror. The moment you let another person define your worth, you hand them control over your life's direction. And that is a power no one else should ever hold. True growth comes not from proving people wrong, but from no longer needing to prove anything at all. When someone says you're not good enough, it can stir an old wound. It might remind you of childhood voices, of criticism you once internalized, of moments when you doubted yourself. But that pain is also an invitation to heal, to rise, to become stronger than the voices of doubt, because your value has never been dependent on perfection. It has never been measured by comparison. It has always existed in your willingness to grow, to learn, to keep going even when others cannot see your potential. There is a deep and quiet strength in those who continue on their path, even after being told they are not enough. Because it means they are not fueled by ego, but by something more powerful, conviction, a rootedness in purpose, an understanding that everyone who ever made something extraordinary was once considered not good enough by someone too limited to imagine what was possible. If you read the stories of those who shaped history, led revolutions, created beauty, or brought wisdom into the world, you will find a common thread. At some point, someone tried to tell them they were not good enough. And yet, they moved forward anyway. These words can come from anywhere. Teachers, parents, colleagues, strangers, and sometimes the most damaging version comes from your own mind, that quiet voice that repeats their words long after they are gone. But even this inner critic is not your enemy. It is a wounded part of you, trying to protect you by keeping you small. You do not need to fight it with aggression. You need to meet it with awareness. You need to remind it that growth is not linear, that mistakes are not failure, that effort is not weakness. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to be whole, And wholeness means embracing every part of yourselfing, including the parts still learning. No one else has lived your story. No one else has walked through your pain, seen through your eyes, felt with your heart. So no one else has the authority to tell you whether or not you are enough. That is a decision you must reclaim again and again, every time the world tries to make you forget. You are enough, not because of what you've done or not done, but because you are still here, still breathing, still becoming. That alone is sacred. If someone tells you that you are not good enough, see it as a moment to pause, not to absorb the judgment, but to realign with your truth. Ask yourself, who am I becoming? What am I building? What am I learning from this? Because each time you choose to keep going in the face of those words, you are writing a new story, one in which your worth is self-defined, not given or taken by anyone else. The people who try to make you feel like you are not enough are often the ones who feel most disconnected from their own inner worth. Their words are not a verdict, they are a mirror, and the more grounded you become, the more clearly you will see this. You will start to recognize the patterns, the way people who doubt themselves tend to doubt others, the way those who feel small try to shrink those around them. And instead of reacting, you will simply keep walking quietly, steadily, with your head held high and your heart open, knowing that their words are not the truth. You are more than enough. You always have been. When someone says, no one else has a problem with it, only you, what they are really saying is, I refuse to acknowledge your experience. This phrase is a tool often used to invalidate your perception, to make you question your instincts, your feelings, your inner compass. On the surface, it may seem logical or harmless, but underneath, it's a form of subtle manipulation. It shifts the focus from what was done or said to how you are reacting. It suggests that if the majority is silent or compliant, then your voice must be wrong. But truth is not decided by consensus. Just because others tolerate something doesn't mean it is right, and just because you are the only one who speaks up doesn't mean you are wrong. In fact, often, the one who notices, who feels deeply, who speaks up, is the one most in tune with what is real. Silence is not always agreement. It is often fear, apathy, or conditioning. Many people have been taught to stay quiet, to endure discomfort, to maintain peace at the expense of their own boundaries. So when you raise your voice, when you express concern, when you call out something that feels off, it doesn't mean you are being difficult. It means you are being awake, and sometimes that makes others uncomfortable. They may try to silence you not because you are wrong, but because your courage highlights their avoidance. The phrase, no one else has a problem with it, is not an argument, it's a dismissal. It seeks to erase your perspective by suggesting you are isolated, overreacting, or overly sensitive. But some of the most important changes in history began with one voice, one person who saw what others ignored, one soul who refused to normalize what had become common. Growth begins when someone breaks the silence. When someone stops agreeing with what is easy and starts standing for what is true. Just because something has been accepted for a long time does not make it acceptable. Just because others are silent does not mean they are free. It may simply mean they are afraid. The path of inner strength is not about being liked by everyone. It is about being loyal to your truth. There will be moments when you will be the only one in the room who sees a problem. You will speak and others will look away. They may minimize your words, laugh them off, or turn them against you. That does not mean you are wrong. It means you are paying attention, and your attention is a powerful thing. It is a light. It exposes what has been hidden, tolerated, ignored. Not everyone welcomes the light. Some will resist it. Some will try to dim it. But your task is not to dim your awareness to fit in. It is to honor it, to grow with it, to act from it with clarity and courage. Being the only one who speaks up can feel isolating, but it is also a mark of leadership. True leadership is not about position or power, it is about presence. The presence to see what is out of alignment and the willingness to name it, even when your voice shakes, even when others look away. Even when people try to gaslight you into silence, when someone says only you have a problem with it, what they are often doing is avoiding accountability. They are trying to escape the discomfort of change by framing your insight as a flaw. But your discomfort is not the problem. The problem is the thing that caused it, and your ability to notice it is not a weakness. It is a strength. There is deep wisdom in listening to your own signals. When your body tenses, when your breath shortens, when your spirit feels disturbed, there is a reason. These are messages. Your intuition does not lie. It is not swayed by popularity or appearances. It speaks in quiet truths. And when you ignore it to keep the peace, you lose a part of yourself. You chip away at your self-trust. But when you listen, even if you are the only one who hears it, you become more whole. You become more aligned. You step into integrity. You are not here to fit into broken systems or to agree with norms that harm your soul. You are here to evolve, to elevate, to awaken. And awakening often begins in solitude, when you refuse to normalize what is unhealthy. When you stop agreeing just to be agreeable, when you choose truth over approval, this is not rebellion. It is consciousness. And consciousness is the foundation of all transformation. So when someone tries to use the weight of the crowd against you, remember that some of the most powerful movements began with a single voice that refused to stay silent. One person who knew that the majority is not always right. That comfort is not the same as truth. That being alone in your awareness is still better than being surrounded in denial. True strength does not always roar, it often walks away in silence. The words people speak to you are reflections of their inner world, not measurements of your worth. When someone calls you too sensitive, doubts your potential, questions your value, or dismisses your truth by comparing you to the silence of others, you are being given a choice, not a choice about them, but a choice about you. Whether you will internalize their fear or embody your truth, whether you will argue for your limitations or rise into your power, walking away is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the discipline to protect your energy, to choose peace over validation, to honor your journey above the noise. You are not here to please everyone. You are not here to convince the world of your worth. You are here to grow, to rise, to align with your highest self. And sometimes that means leaving behind the voices that try to keep you small. The smartest way to deal with toxic people is not to fight them, fix them, or fear them. It is to walk away with clarity, with self-respect, and with the quiet power of someone who knows exactly who they are.